Have you ever had that one person in your life who felt like home? Someone whose laugh could brighten your darkest days, whose presence made the world feel a little less lonely? For me, that person was Ryan, my best friend since college, my confidant, my anchor. And the man I'd been hopelessly, silently, devastatingly in love with for 3 years. This is the story of one night, one completely ordinary sleepover that turned into something I never could have imagined. A night that would either destroy our friendship forever or transform it into something beautiful beyond my wildest dreams. I'm Alex, and this is my true story of falling in love with my straight best friend, or at least the man I thought was straight. The autumn rain hammered against my apartment windows with an urgency that matched the pounding of my heart. Not because anything particularly exciting was happening, quite the opposite actually. It was just another Friday night and Ryan was coming over for our weekly movie marathon and pizza tradition. Just like always. Except nothing felt like always anymore. Not since I'd admitted to myself in a moment of painful clarity 3 months ago that my feelings for my best friend had crossed a line I could never uncross. I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror as I straightened up the living room for the third time. Dark hair perpetually messy despite my best efforts, hazel eyes that always looked a little too vulnerable, average build that came from more yoga than gym time. Nothing special. Certainly nothing that would make someone like Ryan look at me as anything other than safe and familiar. Ryan, on the other hand, was the kind of person who walked into a room and changed its entire energy. 6'2" with that effortlessly athletic build that came from playing soccer every weekend. Sandy blonde hair that caught the light like something out of a shampoo commercial. Blue eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled, which was often. He had this warmth about him, this genuine kindness that made everyone feel seen. Including me, especially me. Which made everything so much harder. My phone buzzed, stuck in traffic, be there in 20, extra pepperoni. I smiled despite myself typing back, obviously the usual. You know me too well, man, smiling face with smiling eyes. That was the problem, wasn't it? I did know him well. Well enough to know that he'd never shown any interest in guys. Well enough to catalog every girlfriend he'd introduced me to over the years, each one leaving me with a hollow ache I had no right to feel. Well enough to understand that these feelings I harbored were a one-way street leading nowhere. I'd become an expert at compartmentalizing, at being the supportive best friend who listened to his dating troubles, who gave advice about relationships I'd never have with him, who smiled and nodded and slowly broke my own heart in 1,000 small ways. But I'd never risk losing him, never. Our friendship meant too much. The doorbell rang exactly 23 minutes later. Ryan was always precisely 3 minutes later than he estimated, a quirk I'd memorized like everything else about him. I took a breath, assembled my best friend mask, and opened the door. And there he was, drenched from the rain, holding 2 pizza boxes and wearing that lopsided grin that made my stomach flip. "Dude, it's a nightmare out there," he said, shaking water from his hair like an overgrown golden retriever. "My apartment's hot water is out again, by the way. Please tell me I can shower here. I came straight from the gym and I'm pretty sure I'm violating several health codes." "You're always welcome to shower here," I said, stepping aside. "You know that." He brushed past me and I caught the scent of rain and that particular Ryan smell, something clean and cedar-like from his cologne. My chest tightened. "You're a lifesaver," he said, setting the pizzas on the coffee table. "Seriously, what would I do without you?" Probably be a lot happier, I thought. Probably date someone without complications. Probably not have a best friend who's pathetically in love with you. Probably starve and smell terrible, I said instead, keeping my tone light. Towels are where they always are. As Ryan headed to the bathroom, I leaned against the kitchen counter and pressed my palms against my eyes. "Get it together, Alex. Just another Friday night, just your best friend, just the same as always." Except the rain was getting worse, the weather app on my phone showing a severe storm warning. And Ryan, emerging from the shower 20 minutes later in my borrowed sweatpants and t-shirt, looked altogether too comfortable in my space, too at home in my clothes. "Much better," he sighed, sprawling on the couch with the ease of someone who'd done this 100 times before. "So what are we watching? And don't say another horror movie, you know I'm a wimp." I laughed, settling on the opposite end of the couch, keeping that safe distance I always maintained. You picked last time, so it's my turn. I was thinking that new indie drama everyone's talking about. The one about the musicians falling in love. Yeah, that one's perfect. I'm in the mood for something romantic anyway. He grabbed a slice of pizza, completely oblivious to the way that statement made my heart rate spike. Sarah and I broke up, by the way. I paused mid-reach for my own slice. What when? Tuesday, he shrugged, but I caught the tightness around his eyes. It wasn't working, she wanted something I couldn't give her. I'm sorry man, you okay? Yeah, actually, he met my gaze and something in his expression seemed searching, vulnerable. I think I've been okay with it for a while, maybe even relieved. Relieved? I don't know, it's like… He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. Have you ever been with someone and realized you're just going through the motions, like you're trying to feel something that isn't there? Every day when I'm with you, I thought, every moment I pretend I'm fine with just friendship. That sounds lonely, I said quietly. It was. He looked at me then, really looked, and for a moment something passed between us, some current of understanding or recognition I couldn't quite name. That's why I'm glad I have you, Alex. You're the one person who actually gets me. The one person who gets you and can never tell you how he really feels, I added silently. We started the movie, falling into our comfortable rhythm. But as the storm outside intensified, as the power flickered once, twice, and Ryan shifted closer on the couch, I felt something else intensifying too. Some tension in the air that hadn't been there before or maybe had always been there and I'd simply gotten too tired to ignore it. This storm is crazy, Ryan murmured, his shoulder now pressed against mine as thunder shook the windows. Mind if I crash here tonight? I don't want to drive in this. My mouth went dry. Ryan had stayed over before plenty of times, but something felt different tonight, charged. Of course, I managed. You can take the bed, I'll take the couch. Don't be stupid, your bed is huge. We can share like we did on that camping trip last year. That camping trip where I'd barely slept, hyper-aware of every breath he took, every accidental touch. That camping trip that had made me realize my feelings had evolved into something dangerous. Yeah, I heard myself say, sure, that works. As the movie played on, as Ryan's head eventually dropped onto my shoulder in that casual, trusting way that shattered me, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, I was strong enough to get through one more night. I had no idea that everything was about to change. The movie ended around midnight, the credits rolling as rain continued its relentless percussion against the windows. The power had flickered several more times and the apartment felt smaller somehow, more intimate in the semi-darkness illuminated only by candles I'd strategically placed around the room. Ryan stirred against my shoulder, lifting his head with a sleepy murmur. Did I fall asleep? Just for the last 20 minutes, I said, my voice rougher than intended. My arm had gone numb where he'd been leaning, but I'd gladly lose all circulation if it meant he stayed there. He stretched, the borrowed t-shirt riding up slightly to reveal a strip of skin at his hip. I looked away, hating myself for noticing, for wanting. Sorry, I've been exhausted lately, he said, running a hand through his hair. Work has been brutal and the breakup, I don't know, it's been a lot. You want to talk about it? I asked, because that's what best friends do. They listen, they support, they don't think about how beautiful someone looks in candlelight. Ryan was quiet for a long moment, his expression thoughtful. Can I ask you something? Anything. Have you ever felt like you're living the wrong life? Like you're following this script everyone expects, but it doesn't actually fit who you are? The question hit me like a physical blow. Yeah, I said carefully, I think a lot of people feel that way. You're so lucky, Alex. He turned to face me fully and in the dim light his eyes seemed impossibly earnest. You've always known who you are, you came out in college and you were just yourself, no apologies, I've always admired that about you. I almost laughed at the irony. He thought I knew who I was. I was a man in love with his straight best friend, too afraid to risk the most important relationship in his life. It wasn't as easy as it looked, I admitted. Coming out, I mean, and figuring yourself out isn't a destination, it's ongoing. Yeah, he shifted closer and I could smell the faint scent of my own shampoo in his hair, something that shouldn't be as intoxicating as it was. Do you ever, I don't know, do you ever question things about yourself, about what you want? There was something in his voice, some undercurrent I couldn't quite read, vulnerability maybe or curiosity. All the time, I said honestly, why? Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, then laughed, but it sounded strained. I don't know, forget it, I'm tired and probably not making sense. Ryan, I reached out without thinking, touching his arm. The contact sent electricity up my skin. You can talk to me about anything, you know that. He looked at my hand on his arm, then back at my face. The air between us seemed to thicken, charged with something I'd never felt before, or maybe had always felt but never acknowledged. I know, he said softly, that's why you're my favorite person. The words should have made me happy. Instead, they felt like a knife between my ribs, a reminder of everything I wanted and couldn't have. I pulled my hand back. We should probably get some sleep, it's late. Yeah, you're right. But neither of us moved. The power chose that moment to cut out completely, plunging us into darkness broken only by the candles. Ryan laughed nervously. Of course, perfect timing. I've got flashlights in the bedroom, I said, standing up perhaps too quickly. Come on. We navigated through the dark apartment, the storm still raging outside. My bedroom felt even more intimate than the living room, my space, my sanctuary, now shared with the one person who occupied too much of my thoughts already. I found the flashlights, handed one to Ryan, and we both stood there awkwardly, as if suddenly realizing the reality of sharing a bed. Which side do you want? I asked, aiming for casual and probably missing. Doesn't matter to me. He sat on the edge of the bed, running his hand over the comforter. Same as camping, right? Right, same as camping. Except it wasn't the same at all. We settled in on opposite sides of the bed, maintaining a careful distance. The flashlights cast strange shadows on the ceiling, and I focused on them rather than on the warmth radiating from Ryan's body just inches away. Alex, his voice came through the darkness, softer than before. Yes. Can I ask you something else, something personal? My heart hammered, sure. When did you know that you were gay? I mean, was there a specific moment or was it always just there? I thought about deflecting, giving him some sanitized version of the truth, but something in the darkness, in the vulnerability of the moment, made me want to be honest. Both, I think, I said. It was always there, but I spent a long time not wanting to see it, and then there was a moment where I couldn't deny it anymore. What was the moment? I could tell him about high school, about the first time I realized my feelings for my lab partner weren't platonic. I could talk about the journey of acceptance, the fear and liberation of coming out. But what came out instead was, I fell in love with someone I couldn't have, someone who didn't see me that way. That's when I had to face the truth that I couldn't keep lying to myself about who I was. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. That sounds painful, Ryan said quietly. It is, I swallowed hard, but you learn to live with it. Do you? He shifted and I felt him turn toward me, or do you just get better at hiding? The question was too insightful, too close to the bone. Ryan, where is this coming from? A long pause, then, I think I'm questioning things about myself. My breath stopped. What kind of things? The kind of things that scare me, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The kind of things that make me wonder if I've been lying to myself too. I turned toward him, our faces now close enough that I could see his expression in the dim light, open, frightened, searching. You don't have to figure everything out tonight, I said gently, even as my mind raced with possibilities I didn't dare name. Sexuality is fluid, it's okay to question. What if I'm not questioning? His hand found mine in the darkness, fingers tentatively intertwining. What if I already know the answer and I'm just terrified to say it out loud? Time seemed to suspend, our hands clasped between us, his eyes reflecting candlelight, the storm outside creating a bubble where the rest of the world couldn't reach us. Then say it, I breathed, whatever it is, I'm here. I think, he stopped, squeezed my hand tighter. God, Alex, I think I've been feeling things I don't know how to name for a while now, and tonight being here with you, it's like I can't ignore it anymore. What things? My voice was shaking. Things about you, the words came out in a rush. How I feel more myself with you than anyone else, how I make excuses to see you, to be near you, how every relationship I've tried has felt wrong because they weren't. Weren't what? Weren't you? The world tilted, realigned, shattered, and rebuilt itself in the space of 3 words. Ryan, I said, my voice cracking, don't say things you don't mean, don't do this to me if you're not. I'm terrified, he interrupted, his free hand coming up to cup my face. I'm absolutely terrified, Alex, but I've never been more sure of anything. Being with you feels right in a way nothing else ever has. Tears burned behind my eyes. You're my best friend if we cross this line and it's a mistake. What if it's not a mistake? His thumb brushed my cheekbone, the touch sending shockwaves through my entire body. What if it's the first real thing I've ever felt? I can't lose you, I whispered. You won't, you couldn't, Alex. He moved closer, his forehead resting against mine. I think I've been falling for you for longer than I realized. I think I've been in love with you and too scared to see it. You don't have to do this, I said, even as everything in me screamed to close the distance between us. You don't have to force yourself to feel something just because. I'm not forcing anything. His breath ghosted across my lips. For the first time in my life, I'm finally letting myself feel what's actually there. Can I kiss you? I couldn't speak, could only nod. Ryan closed the final inches between us, and then his lips were on mine, soft, tentative, questioning. It was gentle and uncertain and perfect, tasting of pizza and possibility. My hand came up to tangle in his hair, pulling him closer, and he made a small sound against my mouth that vibrated through my entire being. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine again. Was that okay? He asked, vulnerable in a way I'd never heard before. Ryan, I managed. I've been in love with you for 3 years. His breath caught. 3 years. 3 years of pretending I was fine with just friendship. 3 years of watching you date other people and trying to be happy for you. 3 years of thinking I could never have this. God, Alex, he kissed me again, deeper this time, more certain. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry I made you wait, that I didn't see. Don't apologize, I said against his lips. Just, are you sure, really sure, because if this is some sort of experimentation or confusion. It's not. He pulled back enough to meet my eyes. I know I have a lot to figure out about myself, about my sexuality, about what all this means, but I know how I feel about you. That's the one thing I'm completely certain of. Thunder crashed outside, but inside everything felt still, crystallized, real. So what happens now? I asked. Ryan smiled, that beautiful, genuine smile that had been breaking my heart for years. Now we figure it out together, if you'll have me, if you're willing to take a chance on someone who's still learning who he is. I thought about all the reasons this could go wrong, the complications, the fears, the possibility of heartbreak. But looking at Ryan, brave and vulnerable, and finally seeing me the way I'd always seen him, I knew there was only one answer I could give. Yes, I said, always yes. I woke to sunlight streaming through my bedroom windows and the unfamiliar but wonderful weight of an arm draped across my chest. For a moment, I thought I'd dreamed the entire previous night, the storm, the confession, Ryan's lips on mine. Then Ryan stirred beside me, his eyes fluttering open, and I saw it all reflected there, nervousness, wonder, and something that looked a lot like joy. Hey, he murmured, voice rough with sleep. Hey yourself. We stared at each other for a moment, both seemingly afraid to move or speak, as if the spell might break. So that really happened, Ryan finally said, a small smile tugging at his lips. Did you want it to not happen? I asked carefully, giving him an out even though the thought made my chest ache. God, no, he shifted closer, his hand finding mine under the covers. I just keep thinking I'm going to wake up and this will have been some crazy dream, but you're real, this is real. Very real, I confirmed, squeezing his hand. How are you feeling about it, in the light of day? Ryan was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. Honestly, scared, excited, confused, but mostly, he met my eyes, mostly just really happy, like something that's been out of place finally clicked into position. Relief flooded through me. Yeah, he leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to my lips, testing, exploring this new dimension of us. When he pulled back, he was smiling. Though I should probably mention I have no idea what I'm doing. I couldn't help but laugh. Welcome to the club. Figuring out relationships is complicated for everyone. But the gay thing, he paused, seeming to test the word. I mean, being with a guy, being with you, I don't know the rules or the etiquette or. Ryan, I touched his face, making him look at me. There's no rule book, you just be yourself, that's all I've ever wanted. What if I mess this up? The vulnerability in his voice broke my heart. What if I'm not good at this or I don't know how to be what you need? You've been what I need for 3 years, I reminded him. That hasn't changed, we're just adding new dimensions to something that's already worked. He nodded, seeming to absorb that. I'm going to need patience, time to figure myself out, this is all really new territory. I know, and I'm here for all of it, no pressure, no expectations, we go at whatever pace feels right for you. Thank you, he kissed me again, longer this time, more confident. When we broke apart, his expression had shifted to something more playful. Though I have to say, I'm pretty annoyed at myself for not figuring this out sooner. 3 years, Alex, I could have been kissing you for 3 years. Well, you're kissing me now, I pointed out, grinning, better late than never. Much better, he pulled me closer and we lay there for a while in comfortable silence, adjusting to this new reality. Eventually, the smell of rain-washed air drew us out of bed. The storm had passed, leaving behind a crystalline blue sky that seemed impossibly bright. We made coffee together in my kitchen, moving around each other with a new kind of awareness, lingering touches, secret smiles, the occasional kiss stolen between tasks. I should probably tell you, Ryan said as we settled on the couch with our mugs, I'm going to need to take this slow, coming out, I mean, to other people. Of course, I said immediately, this is your journey, you tell people when and how you're ready. But I don't want to hide you either, he continued, his brow furrowing. I don't want you to feel like some secret I'm ashamed of. I won't feel that way, I assured him. I understand the complexity here, you're navigating new territory, there's no shame in taking your time. He set down his coffee and took my hands in his. I want to do this right with you, I mean, I want to learn how to be a good boyfriend, he paused, testing the word. Is that what we are, boyfriends? The word sent a thrill through me, if that's what you want. It is, definitely, he smiled, but then his expression turned serious. Alex, I need you to promise me something. What? Promise that you'll be honest with me. If I'm doing something wrong or if you need something from me, tell me. Don't just accept less because I'm figuring things out. Ryan's. I mean it, his grip tightened on my hands. You've spent 3 years hiding your feelings to protect our friendship. I don't want you hiding anymore, not now, not ever. The sincerity in his voice, the determination in his eyes, it undid me completely. Okay, I whispered, I promise. Good, he pulled me into his arms and I melted into the embrace. Because I plan on spending a very long time making up for those 3 years, I was too blind to see what was right in front of me. We spent the rest of the day together, talking and laughing and occasionally kissing like teenagers discovering something new. Ryan was curious about everything, asking questions about LGBTQ+ culture, about my coming out experience, about what dating as a gay man was like. His genuine interest, his openness to learning, only made me fall harder. As evening approached, I could sense his nervousness returning. I should probably head home, he said reluctantly, work tomorrow and all. You could stay again, I offered, then quickly added, no pressure, just if you want to. He smiled, cupping my face. I want to, but I also think I need some time to process everything. Is that okay? More than okay, I kissed him softly. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Look at you with the wisdom, he teased, but his eyes were grateful. At the door he paused, his hand on the handle. Alex. Yes. Thank you for being patient with me, for not giving up on the possibility of us even when it seemed impossible. Thank you for taking the leap, I replied, for being brave enough to explore who you really are. One more kiss, longer, deeper, full of promise, and then he was gone, leaving me alone in my apartment with a heart so full it felt like it might burst. The next few weeks were a journey of discovery for both of us. Ryan was cautious but committed, showing up at my door with flowers which made him blush furiously, and taking me on dates where we could be ourselves without the weight of outside judgment. He read articles and watched videos about LGBTQ+ experiences, always asking questions, always trying to understand. His openness was beautiful. Watching him discover this part of himself, seeing him become more comfortable with the language and identity of queerness, felt like witnessing a butterfly emerge from a chrysalis. We had our challenges, of course. There were moments when Ryan's internalized fears surfaced, when he second-guessed himself or worried about what his family would think. There were times when I had to remind myself to be patient, that his journey wasn't about me and my timeline. But through it all, the foundation of our friendship held strong. We could still make each other laugh, could still have those deep conversations that lasted until 3 a.m., could still be exactly who we'd always been, just with the added dimension of romance. One evening, about a month after that stormy night, Ryan showed up at my apartment with a determined expression. "I told my mom," he said without preamble. My heart stopped. "You what?" "About us, about me." He stepped inside and I could see the mixture of relief and residual anxiety in his eyes. I couldn't keep hiding the best thing that's ever happened to me. "How did she take it?" "She was surprised, asked a lot of questions, but ultimately," he smiled, "she said she just wants me to be happy and that she's always liked you anyway." I laughed, emotion thick in my throat. "Yeah. Yeah," he pulled me into his arms. "I'm done hiding, Alex. I want the world to know that I'm yours and you're mine." "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He kissed me and I tasted salt on his lips, happy tears from both of us. "I love you. I should have said that before now, but I love you so much it scares me sometimes." "I love you too," I managed, "so much for so long." "I know," he rested his forehead against mine. "And I plan on spending the rest of my life making sure you never doubt it." That weekend, Ryan posted a photo of us on social media, just the two of us, my head on his shoulder, both of us grinning like idiots. The caption was simple: "Found my home, white rain beret." The response was overwhelmingly positive. Friends congratulated us, former teammates sent supportive messages, and even some of Ryan's ex-girlfriends commented with genuine well wishes. There were a few negative reactions, of course, there always are, but Ryan handled them with a grace and confidence that made me proud. "I'm learning that living authentically means some people won't understand," he told me that night as we scrolled through comments together. "But the right people will, and those are the only opinions that matter." Months passed. Ryan moved in officially, his stuff gradually taking over half my closet and his soccer trophies finding homes on my shelves. We fell into domestic rhythms, cooking together, arguing over what to watch, learning each other's quirks and habits in this new context. He came out to his soccer team, his work colleagues, his extended family. Each conversation got easier, and I watched him grow more comfortable in his own skin with every person he told. He started coming with me to LGBTQ+ community events, making friends in queer spaces, finding his place in a community he'd never imagined being part of. And through it all, we loved each other, fiercely, completely, with the kind of devotion that only comes from a foundation of genuine friendship. I woke on a Saturday morning to find Ryan already awake, propped up on one elbow and watching me with that soft expression that still made my heart skip. "Morning, creeper," I mumbled, smiling. "Morning, love of my life," he replied easily, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Big words for before coffee." "Big words for always." He leaned down to kiss me. "Happy anniversary." I blinked, doing the math. Has it really been a year since that night? "1 year since the best sleepover of my life," he confirmed. "1 year since I finally got my head out of my ass and realized my best friend was also the love of my life." "Quite the realization," I teased, running my fingers through his hair. "Quite the life," he corrected. He reached over to his nightstand, pulling out a small box. "I got you something." "Ryan, you didn't have to." "Open it." Inside was a simple silver bracelet with a small engraving: "You've always been home." "It's perfect," I whispered. "You're perfect." He fastened it around my wrist, then took my hand. "Alex, this year with you has been the most authentic, joyful, transformative year of my life. You've been patient with me while I figured myself out. You've celebrated every milestone. You've held me through every doubt. And most importantly, you've loved me exactly as I am." "That's the easiest thing I've ever done," I said honestly. "I know we can't legally get married yet," he continued, "but I want you to know that in every way that matters, you're it for me. You're my person, my home, my future." Tears blurred my vision. You're mine too, always. He kissed me then, slow and deep and full of promise. When we broke apart, he was smiling. So, what do you want to do today, besides the obvious anniversary activities? Actually, I said, I think we should recreate that first night. Pizza, movie, rainstorm optional. Perfect, he pulled me closer, though this time I'm not waiting until midnight to kiss you. Deal. We spent the day wrapped up in each other, ordering pizza, watching movies, and talking about our future. The trips we wanted to take, the life we wanted to build, the family we might one day have. Every conversation felt like a gift, every moment a reminder of how far we'd come. As evening fell and we curled up together on the couch, Ryan turned to me with that expression I'd come to know so well, the one that said he was about to say something important. What? I asked. I was just thinking, he said slowly, about that version of me who was too scared to see the truth, who was so busy following a script that he almost missed the best thing that ever happened to him. And I'm really glad he finally woke up. He kissed my temple, because this is what happiness feels like, not the performance of it, not the idea of it, the real thing. Yeah, I agreed, settling deeper into his embrace. This is definitely the real thing. Outside, as if the universe appreciated poetry, rain began to fall, soft and gentle this time, a benediction rather than a storm. Ryan laughed, the sound full of joy and wonder. Should we make it a tradition? He asked. Every anniversary rain required. I think the universe has our back on that one. Good, he held me tighter, because I plan on celebrating a lot of anniversaries with you. How many? All of them, he said simply, every single one. And as the rain fell and the night deepened and we held each other close, I believed him. Not because I was naive or desperate, but because I knew, with the kind of certainty that comes from genuine love built on genuine friendship, that we would weather any storm together. My straight best friend had slept over one Friday night. And everything had changed. But more than that, everything had become exactly what it was always meant to be.